It's Thursday, November 15th. The Supreme Court has reserved its order on pleas seeking a court-monitored investigation into what petitioners called criminal misconduct in the Rafale deal. Let's take you through some of the arguments made in court. Here's what the petitioners alleged on the lack of sovereign guarantee. Prashant Bhushan said the government short-circuited the acquisition process as it took the inter-government agreement route to avoid issuing a tender. Bhushan also pointed out that the Law Ministry flagged two problems on the Rafale deal. One, that the French government did not give a sovereign guarantee. So who will be responsible if Rafale manufacturer Dassault does not deliver? And second, that the arbitration dispute venue is in Geneva and not India. The Wire quotes government documents to report that the Ministry of Law and Justice had opined that the core elements of government-to-government character of the Rafale deal were not acceptable to France and consequently had to be diluted and waived in the final intergovernmental agreement. The Law Ministry had said that the responsibility for the supply of equipment and related industrial services and performance of the entire contract remains with the foreign government. However, the French government sought to transfer its own direct responsibilities and obligations to Dassault Aviation, which means in the event of a future breach of contract or any other dispute, France insisted India would have to enter arbitration proceedings with the equipment supplying company, that is Dassault. The Attorney General confirmed this in the Supreme Court on Wednesday when he said there is no sovereign guarantee from the French government on the delivery of the 36 Rafale jets, but there is a letter of comfort from France. On the charge that Anil Ambani's Reliance Defence was made the offset partner at the cost of public sector Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Arun Shourie argued that on the 8th of April 2015, that is 2 days before Prime Minister Modi's announcement, the then Foreign Secretary went on the record to say talks are on between Dassault, Defence Ministry and HAL. But to everyone's surprise, he said the Prime Minister announced this deal. Prashant Bhushan submitted that in a press conference in 2015, the Dassault chairman spoke about how the deal will be signed and 108 aircraft will be manufactured by HAL in India and that there will be a transfer of technology. But a few days later, a joint statement was issued, and as per the new statement, only 36 aircraft were to be purchased and there would be no transfer of technology. A week after that joint statement, Bhushan said the French press reported that offsets will be given to Anil Ambani's company. Nobody knew about this change, neither Cabinet nor the Defence Acquisition Council, not even the Defence Minister, he alleged. He further argued that for the government to say they don't know who the offset partner is runs totally contrary to the procedure laid down, since as per procedure, the offset partner has to be approved by the Defence Ministry. So, he said, as per the government, Dassault can execute an offset contract with whoever it wants without even the Defence Ministry knowing about it. On the issue of pricing, Bhushan argued, how does making public the price of 36 Rafale jets compromise national security? He said it is a bogus argument by the government and that the price is subject to right to information. The petitioners also said that the government had already placed pricing details before Parliament twice. Contesting this claim, Attorney General K.K. Venugopal said Parliament was not given the complete cost of the Rafale deal. Loaded aircraft price was not given, only the cost of the airframe was given. Secrecy, the AG said, is with regard to weaponry and the arms we have purchased. If these two are disclosed, our adversaries could possibly be able to relate to the nature of advanced weaponry we have acquired. The AG also said it is for respect of the Supreme Court that the government placed the entire price of the aircraft with the weaponry, including the breakup, before it. Now, whether or not the Supreme Court agrees with the prayer in the petitions for a court-monitored probe could also determine whether the political firestorm over Rafale will continue to rage and even perhaps become an election issue. Just days after Indonesian authorities called off the search for victims of the Lion Air flight crash that killed 189 people on board, comes new information from ongoing investigations that point fingers at aircraft manufacturer Boeing. The Wall Street Journal, citing industry sources that included crash investigators, pilots, aviation regulators, and safety experts reported that Boeing failed to warn the airline industry about a potentially dangerous feature in its new flight control system that is suspected of playing a role in the Lion Air crash in Indonesia. That aircraft feature is the automated stall prevention system found on Boeing 737 MAX 8 and MAX 9 models. This system is designed to help pilots avoid raising a plane's nose too high, which can cause it to stall. The potential fault in the system is that Boeing 737 MAX flight controls will override the pilot and pull down the nose even if the aircraft is on manual mode and not on autopilot. It can push the plane's nose down unexpectedly and so strongly that pilots cannot pull it back even when flying manually. The plane could dive or crash. What's worse, Boeing stayed silent and released this worldwide operations instructions manual bulletin to airlines using its 737 MAX jets about how pilots should react to erroneous readings only when ongoing Lion Air crash investigations forced its hand. The Times of India reports that while there are currently 219 Boeing 737 MAX aircraft with operators worldwide, there are only 5 Boeing simulators. TOI quoted a senior commander as saying, what Boeing conveyed to airlines and pilots was that Boeing 737 NG and Boeing 737 MAX essentially had similar flight control features. India has no Boeing 737 MAX simulators. The closest we have is the one in Singapore. Boeing said there was no requirement to train specially on B737 MAX simulator, so pilots in India and elsewhere in the world who are to fly the B737 MAX largely train on the B737 NG simulators. The Wall Street Journal report said one of the selling points of the 737 MAX, according to Boeing, was that pilots wouldn't need any additional simulator time to learn the aircraft, and that the company opted not to disclose additional technical information in the belief that doing so would inundate pilots with technical details they neither needed nor could grasp. The Washington Post says Boeing 737 MAX 8 jets are among the manufacturer's newest models and have been snapped up by airlines in booming aviation markets, including Indonesia and India. Pilots' unions in the US are now accusing Boeing of withholding safety information. In a statement, Boeing said, "We're taking every measure to fully understand all aspects of this incident, working closely with the investigating team and all regulatory authorities involved. We are confident in the safety of the 737 MAX." Safety, the Boeing statement said, remains our top priority. The centre has reportedly turned down the Mamata Banerjee government's proposal to rename the state of West Bengal Bangla. The proposal was sent after the State Assembly passed a resolution seeking to effect the name change in July this year. The Ministry of External Affairs, which was consulted by the Home Ministry, reportedly objected to the name, saying it sounds similar to Bangladesh and there could be an issue with differentiating between the two at international fora. But in a statement on Wednesday, the West Bengal Chief Minister suggested the decision was still pending with the Home Ministry. And Banerjee said, "Recently, I've been noticing that almost every day, the BJP has been changing the names of historical places and institutions unilaterally to suit their own political vested interests. But the proposal to rename West Bengal has been kept pending for a very long time." On the reported concern over the proposed name being similar to that of Bangladesh, Banerjee argued, "Similarity of names should not create a hurdle. There is a Punjab in our neighbouring country as well as in India." News agency PTI states that the centre okayed the renaming of at least 25 towns and villages in the last 1 year. The proposal to change the names of Allahabad to Prayagraj and Faizabad to Ayodhya are yet to be received by the Home Ministry from the Uttar Pradesh government, an official was quoted as saying. Now the latest in the unfolding constitutional and political crisis in Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan parliament passed a no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Rajapaksa's government on Wednesday. The speaker made the ruling following a voice vote amid moves to disrupt proceedings. President Sirisena had, remember, on the 26th of October, summarily sacked Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and installed former President Mahinda Rajapaksa in his place. He then went on to dissolve parliament just days ahead of a scheduled crucial trust vote, evidently because the new coalition was at least 5 short of a majority. Wickremesinghe and coalition partners moved the Supreme Court, which on Tuesday stayed the dissolution of parliament and put on hold the call for snap polls in January next year, after which the House was convened for a vote on Wednesday. It wasn't immediately clear whether the results of the no-confidence motion means Ranil Wickremesinghe will be back as Prime Minister, or whether it is President Sirisena alone who has the power to make that determination. And finally, the mix-up everyone is talking about. At an event in northern France held to mark 100 years of the signing of the armistice that ended World War I, a 101-year-old woman excitedly shook hands with French President Macron and then turned to greet the woman she thought was Mrs. Macron. Only it was Europe's most powerful leader, German Chancellor Angela Merkel. An amused Merkel was seen correcting the French woman first in German, then in French.
Chancelier Allemagne.
Confusion cleared up? Ah, well.
C'est fantastique.
Love your morning fix? Help support our journalism. Subscribe to Scroll Plus using the link in the description.